Welcome to our channel. This is Jessica.
And Sean, and today we're going to be walking through the funds you will need or should show when you're applying for a Canadian visa. So we'll kind of talk about tourist visa, self-funded and sponsored,
Sponsor.
and
Yep.
then as well like a student visa.
Student visa. Yeah.
Okay. So what we've done here is we put together a sheet
Shits.
um,
Spreadsheets kind of thing.
that shows how much money a low income person in Canada would need to have to live for 1 year. This actually comes from the Government of Canada website. So they have a low income cutoff, and they say if you make less than this amount of money in Canada, you are living like in poverty lines. So if you were to apply, let's say for a tourist visa,
Mm-hmm.
and you were coming for, let's say, 2 months, and you're just one person, they would say, well, how much money should this person have as a minimum baseline? As a minimum baseline. Okay. There's a
Mm-hmm.
maximum, but this is the bare minimum. The bare minimum for one person in 2 months um, would be somewhere in this range. So anywhere from 1,500 a month, 2,200 a month. So if you're there for 2 months, if you take the upper range, that'd be $4,400 they would expect you to have for the 2 months. This is a self-funded tourist visa, assuming you're going to a big city. So what they've done here is they list it by community size. So think of community like a city or
Mm-hmm.
a town, or maybe you're living out in the province or the country and there's nobody around. That would be what's called a rural area. But if you're going to a big city like Toronto or uh,
Vancouver.
Vancouver, Montreal, something like that,
Yeah.
this is roughly the amount of money they would expect you to have at a minimum for 1 month. So 2,200. And then we're saying you're going for 2 months. So if I put this in the little calculation down here, 2 months, that's the 4,400.
Yeah.
Now, this is pretty simple when it's one person, right?
Yes. Very simple for
Right.
one
As you
person.
can see, as you go up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, etc.
I think that's also applicable for family. Like if you're traveling as family or having visit visa for family, for example, you're a four person, at least you will see there. There is a four person, and it depends on you as well how many months you will be staying for, like 1 month or 2 months or more.
Yep, exactly. So again, the bottom table here is for 1 month, so a four-person family. Let's assume like mother and father and two kids. They're expecting 4,092. And if you want, when you guys use this spreadsheet, because I'll put it down a link below, um, you can just type the value in there, which you're doing. So 4,092, 17 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we just say like 2 months, quick calculation, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
8,000.
yes, that's the amount of money that you will be needing for a month for four person. Is that really for four person?
Yeah, as a
Yeah.
basic amount of money.
Basic amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you might be saying to yourself, because you might already know
Mm-hmm.
roughly how much you're going to be spending, because maybe you've already booked a hotel or an Airbnb, right? Maybe because maybe you're not staying with family. If you're coming with family, maybe you're not paying anything. But if you're coming on your own and you're staying in an Airbnb or a hotel, you might know like my hotel's going to cost me 5,000 just a hotel, right, for two
Yeah.
months. You
Two
might
months.
know that. And then you might say, well, I'm going to travel. I'm going to take an Uber. I'm going to take a taxi. I'm going to take a bus or a
That's
train,
true. Or
whatever.
whatever. Yeah.
You can estimate that, what that amount would be. And then you would think how much food, cost of food will I be
Yeah.
spending? I actually have a budgetary spreadsheet put together, which I'll also link down below that I did in a separate video,
Yeah.
which talks about uh, cost of living.
Cost living in Canada. We will put that link also below so that you can try to check or rewatch again the video. And on that description, it has also a spreadsheet email or spreadsheet link where you can use that also to check the cost living in Canada.
Yeah. And then with that, in food prices, like just in as a general frame, you probably could get away with for one person like $500-600 a month if you eat cheaply. But if you're going out to restaurants and things, you're definitely going to spend a lot more than that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it depends. If you're gonna just, go buy a bag of rice and some chickpeas or I don't know, some chicken leg or something and eat very simply at home with some vegetables, you probably could,
Buy in Costco for wholesale.
yeah, buy at Costco. But you do have to get a membership, so other things, so when you go to the budgetary spreadsheet, you can type in everything there that you think you're going to spend. There's some base values in it, so go watch that video. And that kind of covers off sort of like a self-funded visa, right? In terms of how much money you think you might
Yeah.
spend. So we have the base level here in the chart. It's kind of like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Unless, you're staying with family and friends, you would have to prove all that they're
Yeah.
paying for you. But that would really be a sponsored.
A sponsor or someone is invited you, or like a relatives, a family member or friends who will like sponsoring your accommodation, your food, and so on and so forth, which is probably will help you a lot because here in Canada, living here, it's not that so easy. It takes like a lot of like costs a lot of money every movement kind of thing.
So if it's a sponsored visa, this is where things get more complicated because it's a little bit more difficult to tell the lines of like how much it's going to cost. So
Hmm.
all of these visa scenarios are very specific to you. There's no one size fits all, and that's why Jessica here has been helping people with visas. So if you want to contact her about that, we have her email down below,
Yep.
so you can reach out to her and she will assist you, and also I will can assist as well. So what we do for sponsor is it's really situation dependent.
Yep. Exactly. Like for sponsoring, you really have a lot to show a lot of proof. If someone in Canada sponsoring you has a capacity to really sponsor you, um, there are like a very important proof like tax of assessment,
Yeah, they need to show
to
that like
show
they
that
have a
or
solid income, how
yeah,
much money they make,
yeah,
so the government knows like, hey, like the person sponsoring you isn't has enough to pay for themselves and
yeah,
pay for you.
yeah. Sometimes tax of assessment is not enough. Sometimes they are, the more proof that you have, the more chance of you are approving or getting approved. Sometimes they are looking also with pay slip or pay stub, that's what they call.
Yeah, if you're a salaried
Yeah, for
employee.
salary, what, how much salary you're coming every month or every weekend or kind of thing.
And so again, it's very specific to you. You could have a case where somebody is sponsoring you to to stay with them so essentially your living is free, but they're not
Right.
sponsoring you in terms of your
Food.
transportation, food,
Mm-hmm. They are
any
just in sponsoring you when it comes with accommodation, but rather than that, you will cover with your food, transportation,
your
uh,
tourism, whatever, maybe
tourism,
you're
whatever.
visiting, right?
Yeah, and everything. So, especially if you were coming here winter, like you need to buy some other clothes as well.
Yeah, I don't know if they care. Maybe they
I
just let
don't
you
know.
freeze. They're like, we assume you have clothes. It's not that bad. You really need to make the government aid the what are they called? The government the officer.
IRC, IRCC.
You really need to make the government officer feel good. The IRCC officers feel good and
Hmm.
confident that you can cover that. And I know if you're coming from another country, you might not know how
Yeah,
much things cost here.
right. It's different. It's totally different.
Okay, and then when we talk about student visas, again, that is a different scenario. So for a student visa, one of the most important things is tuition. They used
Tuition.
to have more of like a base value. They would say you need to have $10,000 in funds, but it's really not that way because if you are coming to study, you should know what your tuition cost is. Is your
Yeah,
tuition cost 15,000 a year, 10,000, 20,000,
yeah,
whatever it is. So
yeah.
you need to show you have that amount in funds.
Right.
If you don't, then they're not going to approve it.
Yeah. And actually, right now, IRCC, um, they updated when it comes with their student visa thing. They make it more higher, uh, for how much proof of funds you should show as a student or as international students.
Yeah, and this is as of January 2024, so things will
Mm.
constantly change. I mean, the government is always updating
Changing.
and
Yeah.
changing things. And another thing that we have to talk about is, as a student, it's not just tuition.
Your cost of living, your food and everything,
Yeah,
your transportation if you're quite far from your school and so on and so forth. If you have to ride a bus or Uber.
yeah, all the same things. Maybe you're going to be staying in residence, and you know the residence is costing you,
Mm-hmm.
$5,000 a year. So you would expect, or they would expect, that on
Right.
top of tuition you have that, and then residents might cover your food, or maybe you're staying with a friend or a family member, and they're covering it all. So you would have to provide all the documentation. There's
Yeah.
so many pieces to applying to a visa. It's so complicated and long.
Yeah, it is.
But, if you guys do need help, like I mentioned before, Jessica is assisting. Hopefully, you found this video helpful. We will
Yeah,
have this link to this,
below.
yes, to this document below, so you can play with that. And again, the link to the official Government of Canada website is there. So you
Yep.
can go there and see this low income cutoff that they have.
Yes.
So that is at a bare minimum, like I said.
Yep.
Um, that you would need to have if you're coming on a visa.
Yep.
But again, everyone's situation is different.
Yeah, it's case to case basis for those people, especially for those people applying for visit visa or tourist visa. You must need to know this table or this yearly income. Even though someone is sponsoring you, or even though you're fully sponsored, it's better to have like at least have your own as well on your account or savings.
Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please
Thank you.
subscribe and like the video.
Yes, and don't forget to click that bell notification for future updates.